12 moments. Not albums, not eras, not careers. Moments. The kind that crack something open in R&B soul music that couldn't be put back together the same way.
Every day.
Some of these you've heard about. Some of them, I promise you, you haven't. But every single one of them, every one, left a mark on this music that we're still living with right now. Number 12, Berry Gordy's $800 Loan, January 12, 1959. Here's something that should stop you cold every time you hear it. Everything, every conversation we've ever had on this channel, every artist, every sound, every story, traces back to a single moment in January 1959. Not a hit song, not a legendary concert, a family meeting in Detroit. Berry Gordy Jr. stood up in front of his family and asked to borrow $800 from the Burberry Co-op. The rotating savings pool the Gordy family had built together, dollar by dollar. He was a songwriter at this point, a former amateur boxer, a failed record store owner, a man who had once received a royalty check for one of his hit songs for exactly $3.19. $3.19, and he stood up and told his family he wanted to start a black-owned record label. You know that feeling when someone you love lays out a dream and you want to believe them? You really do, but the odds are so stacked against it you can feel it in your chest. That was the room. They debated, and then they said yes. On January 12, 1959, Gordy used that $800 to launch what would become the Motown Record Corporation. He put $300 down on a two-story house at 2648 West Grand Boulevard in Detroit, converted the ground floor into a recording studio, moved his family upstairs, and ran it nearly 22 hours a day. Called it Hitsville, USA, but here's what gets me. The $800 wasn't just money, it was a bet. An entire family betting that their son's vision, that black music could cross every line America had drawn, was worth more than the doubt in the room. It was. By 1971, Motown had produced 110 Billboard Top 10 hits. The Temptations, Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross, Marvin Gaye, the Four Tops, and the Funk Brothers. Motown's uncredited house band went on to play on more #1 records than the Beatles, Elvis Presley, the Beach Boys, and the Rolling Stones combined. Most people still don't know their names. If you've got a Motown song that has been living in your memory for decades, one you heard at a family reunion, a Sunday dinner, a late-night ride in someone's car, you already know how that $800 bet paid off, all the way. Number 11, Sam Cooke in Shreveport, October 8, 1963.
Oh, yes it will.
Shreveport, Louisiana. Sam Cooke is one of the biggest stars on the planet.
A change gonna come. Oh, yes it will.
He has 29 charted singles, his own record label, his own publishing company. He built something that most black artists in that era couldn't even dream of reaching.
Oh, to my brother.
And he walks into a Holiday Inn in Shreveport, rooms he'd reserved in advance, with his wife Barbara, his brother Charles, and his manager. and the desk clerk looks at him and says there's nothing available.
To die.
In that part of the South, in that era, nothing available meant one thing. And Sam Cooke knew it, Barbara knew it, and according to people who were there, Sam refused to accept it quietly.
It's been a long.
When his wife said, "Sam, they're going to kill you in this town," he reportedly told her, "They're not going to kill me. I'm Sam Cooke." And Barbara said back, and this part still lands hard, "No, to them, you're just another." You already know how that sentence ends.
A long time coming, but I know.
They left, but not quietly. The car's horn got stuck, or blew, and the Holiday Inn manager reported it as a deliberate disturbance.
A change gonna come.
Sam Cooke was arrested that night on charges of disturbing the peace, held for hours. Bond was $102.50 each. Then here's the detail that belongs in lore forever.
Too hard living, but I'm afraid.
According to his biographer Peter Guralnick, while Sam Cooke was sitting in that jail cell in Shreveport, he began composing "A Change Is Gonna Come," the most important civil rights song ever written.
I was born by the river.
Conceived in a jail in Louisiana by a man who had just been arrested for being too famous and too black in a place that didn't want him there.
I don't know what's up there beyond the sky.
That same night, there was also a bomb threat at the municipal auditorium where he was scheduled to perform. He performed anyway.
But I know a change gonna come.
He recorded the song in late January 1964, performed it once in public on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. His friend Bobby Womack told him it sounded like death. Sam said the song scared him too.
In a little tent.
He only had 11 months left to live.
To die.
Real talk. Only 9% of you are subscribed. That hurts. We're spending hours digging through archives, fact-checking every detail, bringing these stories back to life. And if you're watching this far, you clearly care. So hit subscribe. It's free and takes 2 seconds. Now, to my subscribers, barely any of you have joined the membership. And honestly, that stings even more. You know the work we put in. You keep coming back. If these videos have ever made you feel something, if this music means something to you, join the membership. It's one coffee a month and it's the only way we keep this going. Let's build this together. All right, back to it. Number 10, James Brown Self-Finances Live at the Apollo, October 24th, 1962. Harlem, New York, a Wednesday night at the Apollo Theater. And the most important live album in R&B soul history is about to be recorded with a single microphone because the label said no. Here's the situation. James Brown is already a force. His label, King Records, has been putting out his singles, but he wants to do something that hasn't been done: record a full live album at the Apollo and release it whole. No editing, no overdubs, just what actually happens when James Brown is on a stage. Sid Nathan, the head of King Records, told him flat out, no. In Nathan's view, Brown was a singles artist. A live album with no new material wouldn't sell, and if fans could hear the show on record for a few dollars, why would they buy a ticket? James Brown had a different opinion. So he reached into his own pocket and paid $5,700 to record the show himself, every cent of his own money. Then he held the master tapes and told Nathan, "You want them, buy them."
I love you so.
Nathan relented. King Records released the album in May 1963 with almost no promotional support. And then something started happening in record stores, mostly in the South, that nobody at the label had prepared for. Radio DJs started playing the whole side, not one track, the whole side. People were calling in asking for more. Word moved through every city that had a soul music audience. Live at the Apollo spent 66 weeks on the Billboard Top Pop Albums chart, peaked at number 2, sold over 1 million copies. It was added to the Library of Congress National Recording Registry. Sid Nathan had to eat every word of it. Here's the thing about that kind of conviction. It doesn't come free. It costs you your reputation if you're wrong, your career, your money. Brown was right. He knew it before anyone else did, and he paid for the chance to prove it. Want to know the strangest part? He never took a single off it. He sold it exactly the way he recorded it.
Baby, take my hand.
Number 9. Otis Redding's final recording session, December 7th, 1967.
Wasting time.
There's a whistle at the end of Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay, and once you know the story behind it, it is never going to sound the same to you again. Otis Redding wrote the first verse of that song in August 1967, sitting on a rented houseboat in Sausalito, California, watching ships come in and go back out across the bay.
I'm sitting on the dock of the bay.
He had just played the Monterey Pop Festival. For the first time in his career, mainstream America was really seeing him. Rock audiences, critics, a new tier of recognition he'd been building toward for years.
Everything still remains the same.
He and his guitarist Steve Cropper recorded the first version at Stax Studios in Memphis on November 22, 1967. But the song wasn't complete. The final overdubs happened on December 7, 1967.
Do what 10 people tell me to do. So I guess
That whistle you hear at the end? That was a placeholder. Something he'd put in to fill the space where he planned to add more lyrics. Words he hadn't written yet. A detail he intended to come back and fix.
Just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the
3 days later, on December 10th, 1967, the twin-engine Beechcraft he'd recently purchased went down into Lake Monona near Madison, Wisconsin.
sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
Otis Redding was 26 years old. Almost everyone on board died with him. Bar-Kays members Jimmy King, Phelan Jones, Ronnie Caldwell, Carl Cunningham. One member, Ben Cauley, survived because he had taken a separate commercial flight. Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay was released on January 8, 1968. It became the first posthumous #1 single in the history of the United States Billboard charts.
Wasting time.
His first pop #1, his first Grammy wins, everything he'd spent years working toward, recognized only after he was gone. He never heard the finished version. He never knew.
Look like nothing's gonna change.
And that whistle that was supposed to be replaced with something else, it stayed. It's still there. Still on every recording, every playlist, every version you've ever heard. And now it sounds like a man who knew something the rest of us didn't yet.
Headed for the Frisco Bay.
Number 8. Tammy Terrell collapses on stage, October 14, 1967.
Heaven must have sent you from above.
Hampden Sydney College, Virginia. Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell are mid-performance, deep into their duet of Your Precious Love.
You from above.
The harmonies are locked. The crowd is with them completely. And then Tammy Terrell collapses and falls directly into Marvin's arms.
There's something new.
At first, everyone assumed she'd stumbled. That's what Marvin thought too. He caught her, carried her off stage, and then the doctors arrived.
Ooh, you taught me the meaning of.
Tammy Terrell had a malignant brain tumor on the right side of her brain. She was 22 years old. What happened next is one of the most quietly devastating chapters in all of soul music.
Precious love.
She underwent 8 brain surgeries over the following 2 years. Between them, Motown kept releasing new material, some of it recorded with a stand-in, because Tammy was too sick to sing. By 1970, she weighed 93 pounds. She had lost her sight and her hair. She was in a wheelchair.
What you've given me.
She died on March 16, 1970. She was 24 years old. The music world lost her before it really knew what it had. Marvin Gaye never fully got over it. He withdrew from live performance. He fell into a depression that reshaped him to his core.
And with every passing minute.
And if you've ever had someone in your life who drew something out of you that you couldn't find on your own, someone whose presence made you reach further than you thought you could, then you understand what he lost when Tammy died.
And you gave me a reason for living. And
It wasn't just a singing partner. It was a version of himself that only existed when she was in the room. The grief didn't break him. It transformed him.
in the eyes where tears used to.
He went quiet. He went internal. He stopped performing and started writing about the world falling apart around him.
Heaven must have sent you.
And from that silence came, "What's Going On?" Which means that in some way that nobody planned, Tammy Terrell helped make that album too. She just didn't live to hear it.
Honey, to keep me loving you.
Number 7, Marvin Gaye versus Berry Gordy, January 1971.
We don't need to escalate.
By the end of 1970, Marvin Gaye had charted 29 singles for Motown.
Don't punish me with brutality.
He was one of the label's most reliable stars, and he walked in with a new recording, something he'd produced himself, poured everything into. And Berry Gordy listened to it and said, "That's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life." I know. Let that settle for a second. Gordy's objections were specific. The music was too loose, too jazzy. There was scatting in the bridge he called dated. And the subject matter, Vietnam, police brutality, urban poverty, he was certain it would destroy Marvin's image with the audience that had made him a star. He refused to release it. Motown's entire quality control department turned it down, and Marvin Gaye did something that almost nobody at that label had done before. He went on strike, told Gordy plainly, "Until this song comes out, I will not record another note for Motown. Not a session, not a single, nothing." The standoff held for months. What broke it wasn't Gordy having a change of heart. It was Barney Ailes, a Motown sales executive, who pressed 100,000 copies and released them to record stores without telling Gordy. By the time Gordy found out, the single had already sold 200,000 copies in a week. It became the fastest-selling single in the label's history. Gordy later called What's Going On probably the greatest piece of work Motown ever put out. Some of y'all just raised an eyebrow at that. I get it. After the single's success, Gordy gave Marvin 30 days to record whatever he wanted. He finished the album in 10. The man who called it the worst thing he'd ever heard. The man who released it without permission. Neither one of them was wrong exactly. The song was already inevitable.
You know we got to find a way.
Number 6. Aretha Franklin's first Atlantic session, January 24th, 1967. Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Fame Studios. And a moment that very nearly destroyed one of the greatest creative breakthroughs in soul music history before it could happen at all. Here's the context. Aretha Franklin had been at Columbia Records for 6 years. 6 years. 10 albums of jazz-inflected pop arrangements that went nowhere. At 25 years old, she was a critically respected artist with almost no commercial hits to show for it. Then she signed with Atlantic Records. Producer Jerry Wexler had a simple theory. Take her to Alabama, put her in a room with the right musicians, strip away everything that had been keeping her contained, and let her be herself. On January 24th, she walked into Fame Studios and sat down at the baby grand piano. And within hours, they had recorded I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You, one of the most emotionally raw, gospel-soaked performances anyone had ever captured on tape. Then, everything fell apart. A confrontation erupted between Aretha's then-husband and manager Ted White and members of the studio band. The session collapsed. Aretha left Muscle Shoals that night and never recorded there again. But here's what that chaos didn't destroy. Wexler had the Muscle Shoals musicians flown to New York, at the label's expense, to finish the record. And on Valentine's Day, 1967, in a New York studio, Aretha sat down and recorded Respect. It was an Otis Redding song she had decided to cover, but she completely rebuilt it, added the famous spelling out of the title, added the "Sock It to Me" refrain in the bridge, made it hers in a way that redefined what the word cover even means. When Otis Redding heard her version, he said, "That little girl has taken my song away from me." He didn't say it as an insult. He said it because it was true. From one collapsed session, from chaos and confrontation, and a studio in Alabama she never went back to, came the Queen of Soul. Number 5. The Death of Sam Cooke, December 11th, 1964.
When you left, but now
South Central Los Angeles, 3 a.m., the Hacienda Motel. That night, Sam Cooke is shot 3 times in the chest by Bertha Franklin, the manager of the motel. He was 33 years old. The official account goes like this. Cooke had checked in earlier that evening with a woman named Elisa Boyer. Boyer later told police that Cooke had become aggressive and she had fled the motel room, taking a bundle of clothes with her, inadvertently including his.
But you stayed out till
Cooke, left wearing nothing but a sports jacket and one shoe, forced his way into the manager's office looking for her. A physical confrontation followed. Bertha Franklin shot him in self-defense. The courts ruled it justifiable homicide. Case closed.
Your sweet loving, bring it on home.
But the people who knew Sam Cooke never closed that case. Etta James attended his open casket funeral and was so disturbed by the condition of his body that she said publicly she didn't believe the story added up. Muhammad Ali was there and spoke of him with a grief that went deeper than the details that had been released. Elisa Boyer, the woman at the center of everything, was arrested for prostitution not long after and convicted of second-degree murder in a separate shooting in 1979. There were inconsistencies in the weapons, inconsistencies in the timeline, questions his family raised that were never really answered. Nobody was ever held accountable for anything beyond the original ruling. 200,000 people turned out in the streets of Los Angeles and Chicago that week to mourn him. One of the greatest voices this music has ever produced, dead at 33, under circumstances that his own family disputes to this day. And the song he wrote sitting in a jail cell in Shreveport the year before, the one that scared him so much he only performed it once in public and then never again, became an anthem that outlasted all of it. A Change Is Gonna Come still stops the room. 60 years later, that's not an accident. That's a man who knew something. Number 4. Al Green's Spiritual Transformation. October 18, 1974. Memphis, Tennessee. Early in the morning, Al Green's home. At this point in his career, Al Green is everything. 7 critically acclaimed major label albums. Tired of Being Alone. Let's Stay Together. I'm Still in Love with You. The voice is at its absolute peak. That falsetto, that control, that warmth that made you feel like he was singing only to you. He is the last of the great soul singers, and the world knows it. There was a woman named Mary Woodson. She and Green had a complicated relationship. She had left her husband and children in New Jersey to follow him. On the night of October 18th, she arrived unannounced at his home after he returned from a concert appearance in San Francisco. Al Green went to the bathroom to brush his teeth. He looked up and saw her reflection in the mirror. She was holding a pot. She threw scalding hot grits on him. He suffered severe burns to his back, arms, and stomach, months of hospitalization, skin grafts, and then something happened that Al Green didn't plan for at all. He was alone, couldn't perform, couldn't record, just him and whatever God was saying to him in all that quiet. Here's the part that stops me cold every time. Mary Woodson had told Al Green more than once, before any of this, that he was going to become a preacher. People around him thought she was just talking, but she said it like she knew. After she threw the grits, she went into the next room and took her own life with his own gun. Al Green recovered, and then he changed, not gradually, completely. In 1976, he bought a church in Memphis and was ordained a pastor. founded the Full Gospel Tabernacle Church, gave up secular music for years, and here's the question I always come back to. Did he leave the music, or did the music just become something else? Because if you've ever heard him preach, the voice is the same, the spirit is the same, only the songs changed. Number 3. Stevie Wonder rejects Motown's contract. May 13, 1971.
7 years of bad luck.
Detroit, Michigan. The night before Stevie Wonder turns 21, Berry Gordy throws him an extravagant birthday party at his estate.
Keep me a daydream.
The whole Motown family is there. Stevie shows up with his family, laughs, smiles, and says goodnight. The next morning, Gordy arrives at his office and finds a letter waiting from a lawyer he has never heard of. The letter formally disaffirms every contract Stevie Wonder has ever signed with Motown, effective immediately on his turning 21. Gordy later wrote in his autobiography, "I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe we could have been together the night before like we were, and he not prepare me for something like this. That was not Stevie, but it was exactly Stevie. And here's why it matters." Stevie Wonder had been signed to Motown at age 11 years old. For a decade, the label had been holding his royalties in a trust. When he turned 21, that trust, a decade's worth of money he'd earned, became his. He didn't just walk away from a bad deal. He hired an attorney who reportedly walked into Motown and said, "This is what I want. This is how it's going to be. Goodbye." And he negotiated full creative control over his music, ownership of his own publishing through a company he called Black Bull Music, and an unprecedented royalty rate. New contract signed in July 1971. The result? Music of My Mind, Talking Book, Inner Visions, Fulfillingness's First Finale, Songs in the Key of Life, 5 albums in 5 years.
You don't understand when you suffer.
Superstition, Higher Ground, Living for the City, I Wish, Sir Duke. 3 consecutive Album of the Year Grammys. No artist had ever done that before. No artist has done it since.
The good things in your past.
None of it happens without that letter, sent the morning after the party. Sometimes the moment that changes everything looks completely quiet from the outside.
The devil's on his way.
Number 2, James Brown in Boston, April 5th, 1968.
Doesn't sure that take 2 eyes to make a pair. We can't give a
So, Martin Luther King Jr. is shot and killed in Memphis, Tennessee. By the following morning, more than 100 American cities are burning. James Brown is scheduled to perform at Boston Garden the next night, April 5th. 14,000 tickets have been sold. Mayor Kevin White, who has been in office barely 3 months, watches what's happening across the country and lands on one thought: cancel the show. Tom Atkins, the only black city councilman in Boston at the time, tells him that canceling is a mistake, that it will read as a message, that the city doesn't trust black Bostonians enough to let them grieve together in public, so instead they come up with another idea: let the concert go forward. But broadcast it live on WGBH, Boston's public television station, so that people can stay home and watch. Here's the part nobody tells you. When James Brown found out the show was going to be televised, he was furious. He had a non-compete agreement tied to an upcoming TV special. Airing the Boston concert would cost him roughly $60,000 in lost revenue. He told the mayor clearly, "I am not doing this for free." Mayor White, weighing $60,000 against a city in flames, agreed to compensate him. James Brown performed that night. Of the 14,000 tickets sold, only 2,000 people showed up to the Garden in person. The rest stayed home and watched on television. There was a moment mid-concert when white policemen moved toward the stage as some fans rushed it, and James Brown himself stepped forward, waved the officers back, and spoke directly to the crowd. Boston remained calm that night, while dozens of other American cities burned. The historians who've studied that night are careful to give credit to many people. Tom Atkins, Mayor White, community organizers, radio DJs. But every account comes back to the same conclusion. James Brown's presence on that stage and on that screen in people's living rooms was what held the city together. Music didn't just soundtrack that night. Music did something real. Number 1, The Murder of Marvin Gaye, April 1st, 1984. April Fool's Day. One day before Marvin Gaye's 45th birthday, he had moved back into his parents' home in Los Angeles earlier that year. In financial ruin, deep inside a cocaine addiction, owing millions to the IRS. The man who made What's Going On and Sexual Healing and Let's Get It On was sleeping in his childhood bedroom. And people close to him said that in the weeks before April 1, he seemed like a man who had already stopped fighting his way back. His father, Marvin Gaye Sr., note the spelling, no E on the end, had been a minister, a man with a long history of domestic violence that had shaped and scarred Marvin from childhood. Their relationship was a wound neither of them ever figured out how to close. On the morning of April 1st, an argument broke out over a missing insurance document. Voices escalated. Marvin stepped in. What followed ended with his father retrieving a gun and firing it twice. Once in the shoulder, once through the heart. The gun was a .38 caliber Smith & Wesson. Marvin Gaye had bought it for his father as a Christmas gift 4 months earlier. After the shooting, doctors discovered a brain tumor in Marvin Gaye Sr.'s head, walnut-sized, benign, but real. Whether it contributed to what happened that morning, no one will ever know. He was charged with first-degree murder, pleaded no contest to voluntary manslaughter, received a 6-year suspended sentence and 5 years probation. Marvin Gaye was pronounced dead at California Hospital Medical Center. He was 44 years old, 1 day short of 45. More than 10,000 people attended his funeral. Here's what I always come back to when I think about this. Marvin Gaye spent his whole career carrying things: grief, beauty, rage, tenderness, and the particular weight of being a black man in America, trying to say something true through music, while the world around him kept asking him to be quieter. He carried Tammy Terrell. He carried the war. He carried his own father's shadow. And if you've ever heard Mercy, Mercy Me or Inner City Blues, if you've ever heard him push a note like it was the last thing he was going to say before the world ran out of room for it, then you already know what I mean. The greatest voices in this music have always carried more than the songs, and Marvin carried more than most.